I got the camera set up and I didn't turn it on, so I had to turn it on and repeat everything. So that was a good service. I'm thinking about, I always like to start off with a story. So I'm thinking, should I do a serious story or a funny story? I'll do a funny story since everybody's new. I won't do a serious one. There was a gentleman who wanted to rob this house. And he scoped out the house because he wanted to see when the people who lived in the house went to bed. So it was in the middle of the night. He was assured that they were in bed. So he broke in and he starts heading for this very expensive stereo system. And he hears this disembodied voice say, "Jesus is watching you." And of course he jumps thinking, who is that person? And he shines his flashlight around and he doesn't see anything. So he thinks, well, I'm probably hearing things. So he starts moving closer to the stereo. And again, he hears this voice, "Jesus is watching you." And he gets startled again. He shines the flashlight around and all he sees is a parrot. So he kind of laughs to himself and he said, "Well, what's your name?" He said, "Did you say that?" And the parrot said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, what's your name?" And the parrot says, "Moses." And then he said, "Well, what kind of person names their parrot Moses?" And the parrot said, "The same kind of person who names their Rottweiler Jesus." So. Jesus is watching you. I'm talking about the power of thought. Unity doesn't have dogma, it doesn't have rules and regulations. It doesn't matter what you believe, because what unity emphasizes is spiritual growth. And we're here just to present some ideas to help you establish a stronger relationship with whatever you call your God, whatever that might be, the divine, whatever. But unity has a belief system. And there are 5 beliefs. And I discussed the first 2, I'll run the third one now. The first one is that God is equally and everywhere present, and there's only one power. There is no devil. I know that may shock some people, but there is no entity like a devil. That is a legend that was created when the Israelites were held captive by the Babylonians because they had a good angel and a dark angel. And so as Christianity developed as a way to control people, they invented this devil. And God is not an old man with a beard, sitting up there somewhere, manipulating the universe. You know, when I was younger, I was thinking of the Wizard of Oz because I saw your photos. When I was younger, you watch the Wizard of Oz, it's on every year. And I probably watched it 50 times. But when I was younger, when it got to the part where the wizard was exposed, I thought, oh my God, that's God. That's what God does. God sits up there and has all these dials and things, and he's manipulating the universe. But that's not who God is. God is energy. That is what God does. And I know that's a shock to some people too, because they don't want to believe it. So I apologize if I'm offending anyone, but God does not control the world. He's not making things happen. It's not a he, for one thing. God does not stop anything from happening. God is the creative energy in the universe. And that same creative energy is within us as this divinity. The second belief that unity has is that we're inherently good. And I talked about this too. Some religions talk about original sin. You're born in original sin. We believe that we are inherently good. There is no such thing as original sin. Original sin was created at 435, the year 435 AD, at the Council of Nicaea. A bunch of men got together and decided that they were going to create this Christian doctrine. And that's where the original sin evolved from. We believe we're an original blessing. We're good. We're inherently good. And God is present in each and every experience. The third principle that unity believes in is that our thoughts create our reality. There's nothing else influencing us. God is not influencing us. Our thoughts create our reality, and that's what I want to talk about today. It's the activity of our thinking, and that's how we experience the future. For example, every thought is a prayer. So what we are saying is, if I'm saying God's name is I am, that's what God's name is. So if I'm saying I am stupid, what I am praying is, gee, universe, make me stupid. That's what we're saying, I am stupid. Because I am is the name of God, so we're saying I am stupid. I might say, I am tired. So gee, what we are asking is to experience tiredness. This is how we create. So what's your thoughts? They become words. What's your words? They become actions. What's your actions? They become habits. What's your habits? They become your character. What's your character? They become your destiny. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And Mahatma Gandhi, a lot of people know who Mahatma Gandhi is, says, a man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. And most people have heard of the self-fulfilling prophecy. You keep believing something about yourself and you become that belief. That's what it's all about. Our thoughts and feelings and beliefs have the power to create our reality. That's the reality of it all. While some people think it's co-creating with God, it works. It's a principle. There are universal laws. There are spiritual laws that run the universe. When we're aligned with the spiritual laws, our life becomes a little easier. Things still happen to us. Bad things happen to good people, but our response to it is different. But there are certain spiritual laws that run the universe, and they apply to everyone all the time. It doesn't matter whether you believe in them or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in the power of thinking, it's still a universal law. And so it's best to understand the universal laws so that you can create a better future for yourself. Buddha, 2,500 years ago, said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him. If a man speaks or acts with pure thought, happiness follows him, like the shadow that never leaves. And Reverend Eric Butterworth, who was a Unity minister in New York City for a long time, he's made his transition, he's no longer with us, wrote a book called Discover the Power Within You. And he says, man, humankind, I prefer to use humankind, but man is the greatest concentration of divine energy on earth. The greatest concentration of divine energy on earth. Yes, it is true. We can come to the place where we can manipulate matter. That's what Jesus did. He's an example. He created miracles because he was strong enough in expressing his divinity that he could create and manipulate matter. That's how miracles happen. Eric Butterworth also said, your thought is your life. There's different names for this concept. Some call it the law of attraction. A lot of people have heard of the law of attraction. It's called the law of mind action, science of mind, the art of allowing, and most recently you'll see, especially if this has been on TV, I think, and also on the internet, The Secret. As if it's this hidden idea. This idea has been around since the beginning of time. There is no big secret. The whole idea of us being able to create our own reality has been ridiculed, misconceived, misinterpreted, dismissed as foo-foo, mislabeled, misunderstood, and misapplied. It does work. It's a spiritual symbol. It's a spiritual principle that governs all lives. It doesn't matter who you are. There is no predestination in our lives. There's no fate. There's no particular destiny. We choose what our destiny is going to be. That freaks out a lot of people. In fact, when I first came to Unity, I have to do this. I feel like a doctor. Working on a surgery, you know. Okay, nurse, wipe that off. Yeah, thank you. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know. When I first came to Unity, this was a rather shocking idea. When this whole idea that I create my reality, it's like, are you kidding me? You mean I created this mess called my life, And it is true, and I didn't want to believe it. It's like, you got to be kidding. I did not create this mess. Surely the devil, the evil one, or God had something to do with it, because I didn't want to accept responsibility for my life, for my creations. And then I've learned that the best part is that I can be responsible for my creations, and I can create whatever I want. We choose what we want to experience in our life by what we focus on, whether we want it or not. We can focus on good things, or we can focus on things that are not good for us, and they will come to pass. But now think about how powerful this is. We could create miracles. We could heal ourselves, we could heal other people. A couple Sundays ago, I talked about this woman named Ebby McDonald, and you can look her up on the internet. She was the first person in the world to heal herself of ALS by using thoughts, feelings. She actually healed herself. Myrtle Fillmore, who was the co-founder of Unity, when she was 36, she was very sickly as a child, and when she was 36, the doctors gave her 6 months to live. Well, she decided that she doesn't inherit sickness. And she started blessing her body and sending positive thoughts to her body and blessing all her organs. She lived to be like 85. She was cured of tuberculosis. There are people out there that have been cured of diseases and all kinds of things. And you know, you can use this law of attraction to bring a car to you, or a relationship, or a job promotion. You can do that. For centuries, people thought it was just thoughts that created our reality, and thank God that's not true, because you know how many thoughts go through our head in a day? Some of them are not pretty. And if all our thoughts manifested, I personally would be probably could be in jail, for all I know, if all my thoughts became reality. In Proverbs, the 23rd proverb, the 7th verse, it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is." And during the Great Depression, Napoleon Hill wrote a book that says, "Think and Grow Rich." The emphasis was on thoughts held in mind. And Unity had a saying for a number of years that said, "Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind." But now we're realizing it's not thoughts alone, it's feelings. It's thoughts and feelings held in mind produce after their kinds. It's the feelings are more powerful, that we match with our thoughts more than our thoughts, because you want to know something? The universe doesn't speak English. So we don't have to say anything. The universe is an energy field, and we are like tuning forks. We send out we have a particular belief. We send out a vibration that matches that belief, and the universe will amplify that. And then we start attracting that experience. Do we always get to choose what we want? Yes, for ourselves, not for others. We can go and, pray for someone who's sick, and nothing may happen because they're on their own journey with their own thoughts and beliefs and their own power of thought. So we really can't influence other people, although some people have certainly tried to. You see all these spells about how to attract your true love and how to attract your soulmate. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true for other people. And I always think, well, if that's true, how come I'm not winning the lottery? That was my first thought. Isn't that your thought? If I'm true, why am I not living in this big, huge house? Driving this BMW? Better yet, a chauffeur. And why don't I have a cook and a housekeeper? If that's true. People usually love the law of attraction because you can manifest a car, a promotion, prosperity. But then when something that they don't like happens, they wonder, what in the world happened? You were fired from your job, a relationship ended, and you think, what in the world? What we experience is propelled by our deepest desires. Some of them are in our subconscious. For example, you might have a job and you're going through your job, but deep down inside you're thinking, God, I hate this job. God, I wish I had another job. And then 2 weeks later you're fired. And it's like, what happened? I was doing a good job. But that deep down desire, even your subconscious, you may not even realize it was, I don't like this job. Maybe you think, well, I want to be rich. And you're thinking, well, how come? It's like, oh, how come I'm not winning the lottery? It's because I also have poverty thoughts in there, feelings that I don't deserve it, or maybe I have a prejudice against rich people, against the wealthy. So that's going to stop. In relationships, I'm thinking, wow, I have this big long list of what I want to manifest in a relationship. Why isn't that person manifesting? Well, deep down inside, maybe I've been hurt in the past, so I don't want to be hurt again. Well, if that's a deep down inside belief, then I'm not going to manifest that perfect mate. I'm going to manifest what I call practice relationships. I hate practice relationships. You get to learn what you want and don't want in a person by having all these practice relationships. So if you're thinking, well, if it's true that I can do all this, where's God? Why do I even need God? Well, we don't really exactly need God because God lives inside of us anyway. God is part of us like the wave is part of the ocean. We're an individual wave, but we're also part of this ocean. It's like a fish in water. Did you hear about the two fish? One talking to another, hey, have you heard about this God called water? God is equally and everywhere present. Some people think it's our duty to find and discover God's will, like it's this big, deep, dark secret, We spend our whole lives trying to find out what God's will is for us. It's actually the other way around. Our will is God's will. It's one and the same. How do we know what our will and God's will is, which is one and the same? It goes by following our bliss. Did you ever hear of the book, Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow? That's how we know what God's will is for us. We have all been, when we came to this earth, we chose to have particular skills and talents. For every skill and talent, there's a particular need. It's important for us to follow our bliss. When we're following our bliss, that's when we're following God's will. When we're doing what we love. And for some people, it takes a lifetime to figure that out. To figure out what it is that we love. How can we tell if we're on the right track? By the deepest desires of our hearts. That desire will give us clues. That desire will give us little nudges. It's our intuition. We feel like the nudge says go left instead of going right. I'm sure everyone's experienced intuition. Those little nudges inside of us that are directing us to our bliss, that's God's will. Because God's will and our will is the same thing. We don't have to wait for God to tell us what to do because God isn't going to tell us what to do because God does not speak English. God is energy. The energy, the life force, the creative and harmonizing force of the universe that we can use at any moment in time to create a better planet. We can capture this energy and use it for good through our thoughts and feelings as individuals. We can get together in groups and manifest different things. I talked about how crime was reduced in Washington, D.C. as a group of people participating in transcendental meditation. And crime dramatically dropped by 50%. So the energy of goodness we put out there. When I was a member of Unity in Harrisburg, and I've been a member there for over 25 years ago, on New Year's Eve, every New Year's Eve, we used to participate in the World Peace Meditations. Everybody, it was 7 a.m. in Harrisburg, but everybody the world over got together at the same time to meditate. It was a couple years after that that the Berlin Wall came down. We feel we had something to do with that because we were projecting out this idea of peace. In the Book of Runes, there's a saying that says, we are not doers, we are deciders. And once we decide, the universe takes action. As long as we're sitting on the fence, going this way one day, thinking this way another day, the universe can do absolutely nothing to support us. The energy can do nothing to support us because our energy doesn't have a particular path. Ernest Holmes, in this book, and this is Science of Mind, How to Change Your Life says, a state of expectancy is a great asset. A state of uncertainty, one moment thinking perhaps, and the next morning thinking I don't know, will never get desired results. Even God can give you nothing until you make up your minds about what you expect. And I invite you to prepare for meditation. In meditation, we are going to practice manifesting something in our life. Something I want you to think about what you might want right here and right now to manifest, because we're going to do this in a couple minutes. Let me get the choir going. And I'm going to turn my light out. And as you're sitting there, I invite you to prepare for meditation. And one of the ways to prepare for meditation is to sit in a comfortable position. I'm also going to focus the camera on the candles. I invite you to imagine that in front of you is a hot air balloon. And also in front of you are little slips of paper in your mind's eye and a pen. And I invite you to write on those little slips of paper any negative thought or any negative feeling or any negative belief you might have. You can either write a symbol of it, write a word, and as you fill one out, imagine yourself dropping it in the hot air balloon. And just keep doing that over and over again until you feel like you have exhausted your supply of negative ideas or negative feelings or negative beliefs or a negative experience. And then in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine and see that hot air balloon beginning to float off to the horizon until it disappears. So now we've cleared our minds. Now I invite you to take a scan of your body. And if you notice any tension anywhere in your body, I want to invite you to give that part of your body permission to release that tension and relax. Now we've relaxed our body. Now we're open and receptive to the living spirit of truth. And that living spirit of truth lives inside of you. Now I want you to bring to mind something that you might want to manifest, and do a check of your heart to make sure it is the deepest desire of your heart. It could be an object, it could be an experience. If it's an object, I invite you to use your 5 senses to experience that object. See what it smells like. Imagine what it feels like. Imagine what it tastes like. See yourself touching it. Experience within yourself what it would be like to have that object. Feel the joy, feel the satisfaction, the excitement. The more feeling you put into it, the quicker it will manifest. If the deepest desire of your heart is to create a particular experience, imagine the setting for that experience. Is it in a house? Is it outside? Use your five senses to explore the experience. See what it feels like, see what it tastes like to have this experience, what it sounds like. Imagine yourself looking at it and participating in it. Allow yourself to experience what it would feel like to be immersed in this experience. And the more feeling you put into it, the faster that experience will manifest. If you choose to, you can reinforce until this experience or this object manifests. You can create an affirmation written in the present stating what it is you already have. It's always important to do affirmations in the present, because if you use the word will is always tomorrow and will never manifest. Know that you have planted the seed to manifest that deepest desire of your heart, either an object or a particular experience for you. The wheels have been set into motion. And when it manifests, send me an email, or the next time I see you, say, hey, guess what I got? I won the lottery. So I invite you to come back to this time and place and just gently open your eyes as I turn off the camera.